Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in and, of course, staying with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Happy New Year. If we haven't met this year already, today is the second day of this year. like play, day two have come. Anyway, it's all good. And, of course, we'll try to make best of this year. All right. So it's the second day of January 2024. I hope you're feeling great. You're feeling good. The year has started off on a very good note for you. Well, last year, I'm sure that a lot of us had our own challenges that we went through, but here you are today. And of course, this year, as somebody said, this year is pregnant. We don't know how this year is going to unfold for each and every one of us. A lot of us, we get to cry, we get to smile, we get to laugh. This year, we get to celebrate our wins and, of course, the downtimes too. Well, it's all part of life, so let's embrace it all as part of people who are living. All right, this is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. And of course, you're welcome to the program Radio Doctor right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course, Radio Doctor is your free health consultation program where real doctors advise real people. All right, Radio Doctor is Nigeria's first specialized health program where medical doctors consult for free and advice right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7, and it comes to you Mondays through Fridays from 10 to 11 a.m. All right, so yes, on Radio Doctor, today is Women's Health, and of course, you know that each day is for different specialty right here on Radio Doctor. On Mondays, we get to look at children's health. On Tuesdays, of course, we go on with women's health, and on Wednesdays, we get on with general health, and of course, on Thursdays also, we look at elderly health. On Fridays, we also look at general health too. All right, so today on Radio Doctor is on women's health, and of course it is supported by ACT Foundation. Our radio doctor for today is Dr. Colin Saboloje. He's an assistant medical director and fertility physician at St. Ives Specialist Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Saboloje. Happy New Year to you. Dr. Saboloje, are you with us? Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year, Rose. Good to be here once again.
We're excited to have you this new year. So how is the new year looking like for you?
Well, I think just to make reference to something I saw online, somebody said that the year started on a Monday, that this year actually means business. So I think I'm also seeing it that way, that this year truly means business. Imagine a year that started on a Monday, so it's telling you that, yes, I'm not here to joke. So basically, yeah, at this moment, it's quite difficult to make projections, but I think we just have to stay positive, yes, about the year and just go about all we should do to make it a worthwhile experience for us and not a sorry one.
I definitely agree with you. I just can't wrap my head around this year is a serious one starting on a Monday. It's just cracking me up this morning. Anyway, it's all good. I just hope that we all get to be serious too, at every point. But we're not too over serious, If not, we will just be carrying plenty of problems on our head. All right, Dr. Saboloje, it's so good to have you this morning. And of course, Dr. Saboloje will be here consulting and advising on ovarian factor infertility this morning. So if you have been following our conversations, before the last episode, we've been talking about different aspects of infertility, what comes, what brings about infertility, different aspects of it. That's what we have been looking at since last year, since last year long, we've been looking at this thing. So if you think last year is far enough, it was just about 48 hours ago. So, but hey, it's all good. So today we're looking at ovarian factor infertility. All right, on Women's Health, right here on Radio Doctor, which is supported by ACT Foundation. All right, so the number to be a part of the program this morning is 07000 917 917. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. All right, so that being said, our social media platforms are up and our posters up too for Radio Doctor. Do well to go ahead on Facebook, Instagram, X, and of course YouTube at WFM917. You can log on to our website www.wfm917.com. You get to listen live from any part of the world. Of course, we're always with you. Download our mobile app WFM917. All right, so let's head on straight to ovarian factor infertility with Dr. Colin Saboloje this morning. So, doctor, let's start off with understanding what ovarian factor infertility is and how this gets to affect a woman's ability to conceive.
All right. So ovarian factor infertility simply talks about infertility that results from the dysfunction or alteration in the function of the ovary. Now, with this said, it is also important that I set some background, that I lay some background information that will help us understand it better. The ovaries themselves are not an independent organ. They actually work based on the stimulation that they get from structures that are present in the brain. So we have two structures. Basically, they are all called endocrine organs. Of course, there are still a lot of them in the body: the pancreas, the thyroid gland. But anyways, we'll limit this our discussion now to the ovaries and the other structures called the hypothalamus in the brain, and also, of course, the hypophysis, or the one we call the pituitary gland. So basically, what happens is that the pituitary gland produces the hormones, okay, that in turn stimulates the hypothalamus produces hormones that in turn stimulates the pituitary gland, which in turn produces gonadotropins, FSH and LH, that will stimulate, of course, the ovaries to carry out their function. The ovaries in turn will produce estrogens and progesterones that would stimulate, of course, the womb to either make the woman get see her next menses, or even also to sustain a developing embryo or pregnancy within. So that is how it is. It's like the ovary has an organ in the brain, and that organ has an organ also. So let's just make that in layman's terms. And it is estimated that around 30 to 40% of infertile women actually have ovulatory dysfunction or ovulation dysfunction, as the case might be. So it is very, very prevalent. And of course, the incidence of these cases are also high. If you have to compare them relative to the overall infertility that befalls the woman. And it usually exists in two forms.
Okay.
Ovulation dysfunction, they can manifest in two different forms generally. Okay. They could manifest either as the absence of ovulation entirely, or even irregular ovulation, where the woman does not ovulate often. So basically, there will be some months she ovulates and other months she doesn't ovulate. In the course of this our discussion, of course, we'll be talking about some causes.
Okay.
But I think I could just put a little bit of pause in there and let's just get that down. Let's digest this one first.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for giving us a breakdown of what ovarian factor infertility is. Now, just like you said, let's just head on straight to the causes of this ovarian factor infertility. What could actually cause this? Because we all know that, every girl is given birth with an ovary and the number of eggs and all of that, and then later on in life you get to find out, even as you have probably not, the ovaries are working, they start working at puberty, and then at the end of the day it's more like, okay, now that I'm ready to get pregnant, you're not telling me that the ovary is malfunctioning or something is going on here. So what is the issue? So what actually brings about this? Dr. Collins, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Sorry, I lost you for a little bit.
So, okay. Yeah, so I was just asking, let's just head on straight to the common causes of ovarian factor infertility. Yes, let's get to understand why, some women have to go through this course of infertility.
Okay, so what I would have done is that I would have loved to actually put it in a group, but any which ways, I think we'll just go straight on, and I'll just try to clump everything together, or lump everything together, and just say. So basically, the first thing first, some of the causes, of course, include low body weight. Sorry, low body weight. Okay. For people who are on the lower extreme of body mass index. And of course, obesity. Obesity is also a cause of anovulation or ovulatory problems. Also, for some persons, they're actually having thyroid problems. And because of this, it could be hyper or hypothyroidism. And this will, of course, prevent them from ovulating. And, of course, still consequently result in, menstrual irregularities for them. For some other people, maybe by reason of procedures that they've had in the ovaries, this has now resulted in ovulatory problems for them. For others, like I said, it could be a problem with the pituitary gland, which is pituitary dysfunction. It could be a problem with the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is like, let's just put it in literal terms, like the boss of the pituitary gland. Okay, so basically, it could also be a problem with the hypothalamus, where the hypothalamus does not produce the hormones that it's needed to stimulate the pituitary gland. And for some others, of course, age can also be a factor, okay, as to why some women would not ovulate or would experience ovulatory problems. And then, of course, for some women, they actually have chromosomal abnormalities that would result or that would make them experience menopause earlier than expected, or could make their body to start producing less hormones as it should produce. And because of that, they'll be having scanty ovulation. They ovulate this month, they don't ovulate the next one. In such persons, we can say they are having what we call primary ovarian insufficiency, where the ovary is not working optimally the way it should. So the hormones it should produce is not producing them the way it should. And because of that, the person will start experiencing some problems. And of course, hyperprolactinemia. For some women, they have a very unusual high level of prolactin hormone. The prolactin is produced from the pituitary gland. It's actually produced to help women to lactate. So basically, by reason of that presence of that prolactin, okay, it is what will stimulate the breast to start producing, milk when the woman gives birth. Also, so basically, when this hormone is high, it will prevent a woman from getting pregnant. In fact, it's still part of the reason why a woman who is lactating would not be able to get pregnant immediately until she starts weaning the child off breast, or until she has stopped the child, until she has taken the child off breast entirely. So these are some of the causes, just to group them together, to give us simple understanding.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Boleji. This is 19 minutes after 10 right here on the Women Radio WFM 91.7. You can do well to dial the number 07000 917 917. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message 070 317 56537. That is the number to send us a text or a WhatsApp message. We're all here for it. Do you have your thoughts, concerns, questions on ovarian infertility, factor infertility? Please do well to send them across, or do well to call me up. Let's get to hear from you. Dr. Collins Aboleje is here to consult and advise for free on radio, right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. All right, so now we've known what ovarian factor infertility is. Now we know some of the common causes of ovarian factor infertility. All right, doctor, so how is this assessed, or accessed rather? Because at the end of the day, a woman wants to know, how, or rather, when is it when she goes for maybe a random check, or maybe at the point of trying to get pregnant, or maybe she goes for something else and they get to discover this. So how do you get to diagnose, ovarian factor infertility? How does a woman get to know that this is what is going on? Are there some kind of manifestations that might come up, aside from maybe irregular periods or pains or something like that? So how do we get to know? Dr. Collins? All right, so I think the networks are playing pranks with us this morning. Let's get to reconnect with Dr. Aboleje. Let's get to reconnect with him. Are you with me now? Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I think I'm back now. Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's something.
Okay.
Okay. So now, before I go on to answer that question, I think there are certain things I also left out.
Okay.
And this would also still help us understand certain things better. So there were two other causes of anovulation, or causes of ovulatory problem, that are actually left out, which include stress, increased stress levels, of course, and the commonest cause of ovulatory problems in women, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Honestly, I would have been doing the audience a great disservice not to mention polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is the commonest reproductive endocrinopathy, around, especially for women of reproductive age. So those are part of the causes of ovulatory problems. So now, for women to identify whether they are having ovulatory problems, first of all, a woman who is having regular menstrual cycle chances are excellent that she's still ovulating. But if the woman is already having irregular periods, maybe she doesn't see her menses regularly. By regularity, we're not talking about the general cyclical menstrual cycle length variation that exists. We're talking about, you see your menses January, February, March, April, May, June, like that throughout the year, then that is talking about regularity. So for a woman who is having regular menstrual cycle, like I said earlier, regular periods, of course, then she's chance to excellence she's ovulating. So all of the symptoms to note include irregular periods. For some women, they will be having irregular periods. Now, the reason why they're having regular periods is because they are not ovulating regularly. So basically, because of that, they will have irregular periods where they see in some months, they don't see in certain months, as is obtainable in the case of polycystic ovarian syndrome. And for some others, they will experience some symptoms of hyperandrogenism. Now we're just still limiting all of these to polycystic ovarian syndrome, where the person will have male pattern hair distribution, acne, you have some mood changes. You would have, of course, infrequent menses. Like I said, you find it difficult to get pregnant because the woman is not ovulating frequently. She's not ovulating regularly. So because of that, of course, she would also have some other symptoms like thin endometrium. She would have no or low cervical mucus or unfavorable cervical mucus. We spoke about this when we discussed the cervical factor. For some other persons, of course, they could be having vaginal dryness, low sex drive, or low libido for women. And for others, of course, they could be having fluid discharge from their breast even when they are not pregnant or when they have not given birth. For some women, like I said, that symptom is actually called galactorrhea, and it's also a consequence of having hyperprolactinemia. Okay, so for some other persons, of course, they could be having depression, anger issues, and hot flushes, and what else? I just want to be sure that I'm not leaving anything out. So I think I've done justice to a majority of the symptoms that are commonly expressed by people. And these symptoms that they express, or that they experience rather, these symptoms that they experience are actually consequence of the various manifestations of ovulatory problems. So people who have ovulatory problems, generally, it will manifest in them either as their total absence of ovulation, which is anovulation. For some other people, it could be that they have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And this polycystic ovarian syndrome, of course, has a myriad of other signs and symptoms within, okay, that include hyperandrogenism, anovulation or oligoovulation, problems with menstrual flow, menstrual cycle, and then, of course, infertility or difficulty in getting pregnant, and, of course, the presence of these polycystic ovaries. And for some other people, it could manifest as premature ovarian insufficiency, where the ovaries are not working the way they should. Usually, this should happen when the woman is very, very close to menopause. But in this case, this suboptimal functioning of the ovary starts to happen, sometime before the age of, sometime around the age of 40 years of age. For some other people, this could manifest as them having premature ovarian failure. In this case now, that is premature menopause. Menopause is supposed to actually happen between the age of 45 and 55. But for such women, before the age of 40, menses is gone. They would never see it again because of chromosomal problems and some other causes that most likely we would also still speak about. And then lastly, these ovulatory problems could manifest now in the form of luteal phase problems or luteal phase deficiencies. Now, what this simply means is that when a woman ovulates, okay, she goes into that luteal phase. Luteal phase is the phase where there's production of progesterone, and this progesterone either prepares the woman for the next menses or sustains the growth and development of the embryo inside of the endometrium. Ovulating, but they are just not producing enough progesterone. So because of that, the endometrium would not develop very well. Progesterone is also required for the development of the embryo of the endometrium, and also for the development of the embryo, for implantation and all. So if the progesterone level is not enough, of course, such a woman will find it difficult to sustain pregnancy, especially in the early phase, because of luteal phase defects. For some other people, Now, they are not ovulating in the sense that the egg is not coming out. So they are not having that rupture of the follicle in the ovary. So they are not ovulating, and they're having what we call luteinized unruptured follicle. So that follicle that's supposed to rupture and release the egg will not rupture and release any egg. It will just convert itself into what we call a corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is formed in the ovary after a woman ovulates. It's like we call it a yellow body. The yellow body is formed in that ovary from that structure, from that follicle that bursts and that ruptured, okay, and release the egg. So that's from that structure, that is where the progesterone will start to be produced. So for some people, they do not rupture that egg, okay? It's the developing follicle simply just converts into a corpus luteum, so to say, and starts producing, some of the progesterone that it can produce. But of course, there is no egg. The egg did not come out. It was just immediately converted into a corpus luteum. The follicle was converted into a corpus luteum. So these are the different expressions of ovulatory problems and the associated symptoms. So all the symptoms I've made mention of, all the hot flushes and everything, were actually part of all these isolated subjects that I just discussed on. Now, for a woman to know if they are having ovulatory problems, of course, we also have to take into cognizance the symptoms that she's experiencing. The woman starts to tell you about all the symptoms. I find it difficult to see cervical mucus, or I'm having irregular periods, or I'm having mood changes, or I'm having what did I make mention of earlier? I'm having acne, hirsutism, growth of hair in areas that there shouldn't be hair. My cycle, I'm having high cycle variability. Now, what high cycle variability simply means talks about. Now, for some women, you see that they'll tell you that they see their menses sometimes every 26 days, sometimes every 30 days. So that is a good cycle.
Hello, Dr. Collins. All right, this is Women Radio WFM 91.7, and of course it's about 29 minutes after 10 right here, and we're just having a little bit of
people. So these are some of the symptoms that they would experience. Now, so to talk about to diagnose or to detect it. So like I said, we would take into cognizance the symptoms that the woman experiences. The next thing, of course, we would have to do some hormone profile. We want to check the hormone profile. The hormone profile is actually a test that's done to check the hormones that are produced by the ovaries and also the hormones that are produced by the brain, okay, like the FSH and the LH in women, and of course estrogens and progesterones, and even the testosterone or androgen profile can also be checked using the hormone profile. We can also do ultrasound to actually detect whether the woman has polycystic ovarian syndrome, and also to assess the ovarian reserve of the woman. There are also some other tests, progesterone challenge tests, where progesterone is given to the woman for a couple of days, and then of course if the woman is producing estrogens, okay, of course the woman would have a withdrawal bleed, but if she's not producing estrogen, then of course she won't have a withdrawal bleed, because estrogen would actually
Hi, Dr. Collins.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we just lost you for some seconds there.
Okay, for some seconds there. Okay, so so some other tests to also perform include MRI. Now, for women who are having recurrent galactorrhea, this galactorrhea simply means the production of fluid from their breasts. Okay, continuously. That is a sign of hyperprolactinemia. For some, there are drugs to treat that, but when you attempt treating it and it doesn't get managed, okay, and it still continues, it still persists. Usually you want to investigate that woman more. So MRI is also a test that should be done to actually assess the size of the hypothalamus of the pituitary gland. So because for some persons, the reason why they are having hyperprolactinemia and the consequent galactorrhea is because they are having a tumor in the pituitary gland. So MRI is also part of the investigations that should be done, but it's not instituted for everyone, but only done for people depending on the symptoms that they present with.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for giving us a breakdown on all of that. All right, so this is about 28 minutes to 11 right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Do well to call us on 07000 917 Send us a text or your WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, so this is Radio Doctor right here, your first free consultation program right here on on Women Radio. All right, this is your first specialized health program where medical doctors consult for free and advice on radio. And of course, we have Dr. Colin Sabology with us this morning. He's an assistant medical director and fertility physician at St. Ives Specialist Hospital. All right, today is on Women's Health, and Women's Health on Radio Doctor is supported by ACT Foundation. All right, so like I said, you can do it to call us up. Let's get your thoughts, your concerns, and your questions right here on the program. All right, Dr. Collins, thank you so much for giving us a breakdown so far on this particular issue that women face. But during the explanation, you said something. You mentioned quite a number of symptoms, that are very, very peculiar to polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, could it be that ovarian factor infertility, like they're just maybe like brothers or sisters with polycystic ovarian syndrome? Because some of the almost all the almost all the symptoms that you mentioned are still symptoms that a person with polycystic ovarian syndrome would definitely have. You're talking about erythema, you're talking about low progesterone, you're talking about mood swings and all of that. So there's a lot going on. And when you compare that with polycystic ovarian syndrome, you might just see that it works hand in hand. Let's pick this call, please. Hello, good morning.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. You're connected. All right, do want to call us back. Let's get to hear from you. 07000 917 Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. So, Dr. Apology, what's now the difference between ovarian factor infertility and PCOS? All right, the caller is calling back. Just a minute.
Okay, so, all right.
All right, I think that we're having network issues this morning. Let's do well to call back again or send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. Go ahead, Dr. Abology.
All right. So the term ovulatory dysfunction is like an umbrella. Okay, it has different branches. It's like a spectrum. Okay, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, hyperprolactinemia, premature ovarian insufficiency, premature menopause, and ovulation, the absence of ovulation, they are all like branch, under the same umbrella. Okay, so it is just a term. We use that term to describe all of these sisters. Okay, it's like a family. Okay, that's ovulatory dysfunction is like the family, and then you have all the siblings and all the branch-offs. So you have polycystic ovarian syndrome under that umbrella of ovulatory dysfunction. You have premature ovarian insufficiency under that umbrella. You have premature menopause under that umbrella. You have anovulation under that umbrella. So it's like, so that is what it means. So that is the reason why when we're talking about ovulatory dysfunction, you mention all the symptoms that are present within all these sister conditions, which are under, it's like a subtopic, so to say, like a subtopic under the same broad heading. Yes, that's the word. It's like a subtopic. So you're having polycystic ovarian syndrome, everything, they are all ovulatory dysfunction or ovarian factor infertility, because they would cause infertility any which ways.
Okay.
So that is the reason why I made mention of all these symptoms which of course would be familiar to somebody who has polycystic ovarian syndrome, and also familiar to somebody who is experiencing premature menopause, and familiar to somebody who is not even ovulating, and familiar to somebody who is having fluid production from the breast, galactorrhea and hyperprolactinemia.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for clearing all that up. 07000 917 917 is the number to call. Send me a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. Hello, good morning. All right, do well to call me back. I can't hear you at all. I don't know what's going on with our networks this morning, but please do well to call me back.
I think there's something going on.
Yeah. Just do well to call me back or send me a text or a WhatsApp message. All right, I'm all here for it. 07000 917 and of course you can go ahead and use the number 070 That's the number to send me a text or a WhatsApp message. All right, you can still try to call me up on 07000 917. All right, so we're here with Dr. Moboloje, and we are looking at ovarian factor infertility. And, he's just opening up a lot that could actually go wrong. So, and then something that caught my attention that you said, Dr. Moboloje, was that this affects a lot of women, even maybe a lot more than we actually think of or we actually know about. And, this actually makes me go back to the days where we were not privy to such information. And you had lots of women who were suffering without even knowing that this is what it is. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. You're calling from?
Yeah, Ikorodu.
Ikorodu. What's your name?
Blessing.
Blessing. Oh my goodness. Do well to call me back. I think I thought I heard Blessing, but I'm not sure. But do well to call me back, please. Let's get to hear from you. So, which is now, just like I was saying, I said this is actually really common. And women of old that were not privy to such information did not even know that this was going to. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Rose.
Hi, good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, wish you same.
All right. So what's your name? Where you're coming from?
Good morning to your guest, Mr. Collins.
Good morning.
Good morning to the doctor.
Happy New Year.
Okay. So I won't say the topic doesn't concern me. It's very, very educating and enlightening, and I've been learning a lot, like so much. But my little, I want you to, I don't know if there is what you can say or how you can help the women with the information and some of the things they can do to escape or chip away from these challenges you're talking about. Yeah.
What's your name? Hello, are you there? All right, Dr. Collins, did you get his question?
Yeah, he was asking about more like treatment for all of these problems, because he was asking about what would help women who are down with some of these challenges. Okay, so
all right, just a minute. Let's see. Just a minute. Maybe he's the one calling back. Hello, good morning.
Okay. All right.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? All right, Dr. Collins, just go ahead. Let's hear the treatments from you. What are the treatment options available for this?
Okay, so generally, first of all, the woman, like I said, has to be, like I would always say, has to be evaluated, and of course, a diagnosis has to be reached. Like I said earlier, ovulatory dysfunction is just it's like a spectrum. Okay, so you have to understand what is the exact cause of that ovulatory dysfunction. So the moment that is figured out, then of course, treatment can now be instituted. But just to list a few, of course, we have to apply lifestyle and dietary changes. So basically for people who are actually having obesity, then of course they want to have weight control to control their weight, to make their body mass index to be within the normal range. And of course, for people who engage in all these soda drinks, you want to cut down on sodas, it's actually done in a bit to try to control, to have a good glycemic profile, because for people with polycystic ovarian syndrome, they still have what we call hyperinsulinism or hyperinsulinemia. So basically, you still want to control some of their glycemic profiles or parameters. And then, of course, for lifestyle, people need to cut down on smoking, alcohol intake, because of course smoking has been proven to cause deleterious effects on the ovaries of women, and if smoking also affects men too, just to add that. So basically, people want to control all of that and take care of that. And then medically, of course, there are ways to try to make people ovulate, especially women who are having anovulation. So basically, you want to do ovulation induction using certain medications, Clomid, letrozole. These are actually instituted in the hospital. And usually when that is done, the woman has to be guided, using ultrasound guidance to actually check whether she's responding to those medications. All of that should be done. And for drugs also, drugs like metformin, these days they use drugs like metformin, myoinositol for women to actually increase their insulin sensitivity, okay, so that the body recognizes the presence of insulin and makes good use of it. Insulin acts as a gateway, okay, and acts as a lock and key kind of mechanism to some of these hormones and some of these processes that occur inside of the body. So that's the reason why you give metformin, to try to increase the body's sensitivity. Because part of the pathogenesis, part of the problems, part of the origin, so to say, okay, of polycystic ovarian syndrome is actually hyperinsulinemia or hyperinsulinism. So that's the reason why metformin is given. This is just for people who are already using metformin and they don't know why. And maybe they have seen that they have been using metformin and they have seen a colleague who has a colleague or a brother or a sister who has diabetes, and the person is also using the same drug, and you're like, I don't have diabetes. Yes, you don't have diabetes, but it is given in a bid to try to control that and to make your body to be more sensitized and sensitive to the presence of insulin and to make do with it so as to cause proper ovarian functioning. And then, of course, some people would have to go to the extreme of even having what we call ovarian drilling. These are surgical interventions for people with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Ovarian drilling is actually done to help the ovaries to be more responsive to medications, especially because for some, the problem with polycystic ovarian syndrome is that it can actually make the ovaries to be unresponsive to even medications that you would use to cause the ovaries to ovulate. So and for people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, they also have to understand that, of course, the problem with them is not that they do not have eggs. They have eggs that are resident within those tiny follicles or tiny cysts that are present within the ovaries, but it's just that they have been arrested at a particular stage, so they will not get to full maturation, and because of that, the ovaries will not ovulate. So that is also part of their problems. And polycystic ovarian syndrome, like I said, also predisposes women to having long-term health complications like cardiovascular problems, metabolic syndrome, obesity, insulin resistance. So because of that, appropriate evaluation and the right measure has to be instituted to try to prevent those long-term problems. Exercising is also very important, and to try to, reduce the amount of adipose tissue present within the body, maybe to try to, prevent all the inflammatory reactions that could occur, And of course, assisted reproduction is also one way out for people who are having ovulatory problems, because if a woman is having premature ovarian failure or premature ovarian insufficiency or even premature menopause, such a woman now will not be able to produce quality eggs. She will not be able to produce eggs even because she has attained premature menopause, a woman who stops seeing menses. The reason why I'm talking broadly now is because, like I said earlier, there is a spectrum under the umbrella ovulatory dysfunction. So for a woman who is having premature ovarian failure or insufficiency, of course, such a woman would have to do IVF, of course, considering the use of donor eggs, in their IVF. Adoption is also another option for women who have attained, mostly women who are unmarried and have already attained premature menopause. So such women should also consider adoption. So I've listed a few, and I think in the course of the discussion, if anything comes up, I could also add to that. And then for people who are having hyperprolactinemia, of course, surgery can also be in the most severe case of hyperprolactinemia, which is recurrent, which is not amenable to have surgery done to try to take out any tumor that is present within the pituitary gland. But of course, that is in the extreme cases. There are medications to try to bring down the prolactin levels of women. Bromegon, which is very common to most people, cabergoline or Sinago, as the case might be. These are medications that can be used to bring down the prolactin levels of women. But like I said, surgery is also part of the treatment for hyperprolactinemia, especially for those that are that are caused by the presence of a tumor in the pituitary gland.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bolaji, for all of that. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7. The world to call us up. Let's get to hear from you. 07000 917 Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. So it's about 13 minutes to 11 right here, and we are definitely, waiting to hear from you this morning on ovarian factor infertility. Today is Women's Health on Radio Doctor and is supported by ACT Foundation. All right, so we've heard the different kinds of treatment or treatment options that are available for women experiencing ovarian factor infertility. So the caller who called and said that this may not concern him, but I just want to say it's definitely something that concerns you, because you have women around you, and if you're armed with the right information, you might just be pointing the woman close to you, to the right direction. So it definitely concerns all of us, even though it happens in a woman's body, but it does concern you. You could talk to your daughter about it, you could talk to your wife about it, you could talk to friends about it, and this would definitely help them, and maybe save them from a lot of heartache and headaches. All right, so doctor, let's get to hear more on some of the changes that were to make in terms of diet, in terms of life changes that could actually help to see that we fight this, or we win the war against this, because at the end of the day, honestly, it's something that we all have to join hands together to. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning, ma.
Good morning. What's where are you calling from?
Bola.
Your name is Bola from Ikotu.
Bola from Ikotu, yes.
All right.
Can I ask a question outside it, please?
Okay, go ahead. The doctor is here.
After the topic, I need the contact number of Association of Women. I called it 2 weeks ago. I couldn't get it. Association of Women.
I told you to send the text to our text message line, and we didn't get text from you, or a WhatsApp message.
I want the contact number. Before you finish, you mention it again.
All right, I will still get to mention it again.
Before you finish, again.
Yes.
Before you finish the round up.
All right,
please,
thank you.
Call the number. God bless you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, the number to send a text to is 070 317 56537. 070 317 56537. That's the number to send me a text or a WhatsApp message on. All right, so Dr. Collins, so let's get to hear from you some of the lifestyle changes that we are to make in order to fight this. And is this something that we have to keep? Is it a lifelong factor of is it a lifelong issue that we have to be looking at, or is something that can just be treated once and for all with the lifestyle changes?
Okay, with the lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the lifestyle changes. Now, usually most of the treatments of some of these ovulatory dysfunctions, they are actually a multidisciplinary approach, and they have a multi-dimensional approach to managing them. So basically, just lifestyle for some people, lifestyle changes or dietary changes can actually just help some persons, especially for women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, because polycystic ovarian syndrome actually has different expressions. They are different, we call them phenotypes. So it's not everything you see. It's not all the classical symptoms of polycystic ovarian syndrome you will find in everybody that has polycystic ovarian syndrome. So there are different phenotypes that I will be discussing when we get to the discussion of polycystic ovarian syndrome on one of these days. And so basically, so for some people, just dietary modifications and exercising, keeping their body mass index within the right, within the normal limit, just helps them, and ovulation returns, and everything, and menses starts to flow the way it should, and the cycle becomes regular, and all of that. It can be enough for some persons, but for some others, of course, they would need some extra intervention to be done. So some of the lifestyle and dietary changes. Well, first of all, the woman or the lady has to. Now, this is pertaining to polycystic ovarian syndrome now. Because for the others, diet truly would not make you have premature ovarian failure. Largely, the causes of premature ovarian failure or premature menopause has to do with maybe cigarette smoking, chromosomal abnormalities like Turner syndrome, and then, of course, autoimmune conditions like autoimmune hypothyroidism and the like. So, sometimes even it is even familiar, where there's just a familiar pattern of having early menarche and early menopause. And studies have also shown that women who attain early menarche, now what that means is that they saw their menses early. They started their menses at an early age, maybe 8 for some people, 9. Usually studies have shown that these women will actually attain menopause earlier than others. So all of these are part of the reasons, or to note some of the things to note on the others. Now, for polycystic ovarian syndrome, like I said, which is where we usually start when we see a patient that comes in with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is also an ovulatory dysfunction. We usually start them on dietary and lifestyle modifications. We tell them to lose at least 10 and weight correction. So we tell them to engage in exercises in a bid to drop 10% of their body weight, whatever they weigh, and then of course to reduce some body fats, because obesity in itself can cause problems with insulin resistance and also low sex binding and globulin and all of that. And so basically we tell them to reduce their carbohydrates, take more of protein, take fruits, vegetables, get well hydration, and of course engage in exercises, stop smoking, cut down on your alcohol intake, avoid recreational drug use, because these can actually have deleterious effect on the ovaries. And I think these are most of it. Now, for the diet, most people, we usually recommend Mediterranean diet. These are diets that are very rich in, all the fruits, all the calcium and proteins. We encourage taking lean meat like chicken. Of course, avoid fried foods. Avoid snacks. Avoid carbonated drinks like sodas, because most of them have been proven to have pro-inflammatory effect. They can cause inflammatory reactions, and the cascade of which can have effect on the hormone production inside of the body. And of course, for women, this can ultimately result in ovulatory problems or menstrual irregularities. So
okay.
I think the majority of these that I've mentioned are things that are already known by the general public, and these are the things that have been preached in recent times, due to health awareness. People trying to keep fit these days are very, very important. But it's also important that I state that too much of exercise is also very bad. So you don't want to start exercising to go lower than the normal limit of what your body mass index should be like. Okay, if you are underweight and you are overweight for a woman, it can have effect on the function of the pituitary gland of the woman, and this is of the hypothalamus rather, and this can in turn result in ovulatory problems or menstrual irregularities.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Collins Sabolaji, for being a part of our program today. So basically, it's the lifestyle changes, it's the diet changes, it's exercises that could actually help you, be at the side of advantage when it comes to ovarian factor infertility. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Collins Sabolaji, for being a part of our program this morning. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, have a great day ahead, and Happy New Year to you once again.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so that's it this morning on Radio Doctor, right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Women's Health Today is supported by ACT Foundation. So a very big thank you to Dr. Collins Sabolaji, an Assistant Medical Director and Fertility Physician at St. Ives Specialist Hospital. All right, thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Join us again tomorrow at 10 a.m. where we'll get through with general health. Thank you to the producer of the program, Mr. Laribi, and the executive producer, Tonwo Kewole Shunaya. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaisa. Do have a blessed and amazing day ahead. Happy New Year to you once again. Good morning.
WFM 91.7.